discreet about it. Extra, extra, read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. We gon' come and see about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra, read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. Find out nothing sweet about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra, read about it.
B.Woods on the Mic podcast, and it's going down. We got a legend in the building, holding it down in LA for super years. Power 106, KDAY doing a television thing, and he's been repping. My guy, I've known you for a while, my boy, Big Romeo.
What's up, my man? You good?
Brother, I'm good. It's good to see your face. It's good to see you out here winning, you grinding, you winning, you doing your thing, bro.
Yeah, man, it is truly a blessing, but it's still hard when someone says a legend, right? You know how it's just hard to hear that because you're a legend too. You already know that we both have put in work in this city for over a decade and then some, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, like for me, it's always like when I do this podcast, I want to get my people that like I really not only am I fans of, but people that I respect and just know how they held it down in LA and put that mark out here. And we got to talk about your story, your beginnings and how you transitioned and how you leveled up to where you at right now, man. And so let's just take it back. Let's rewind. Okay. Let's do the rewind real quick. And bro, like, how did you get started in not just the radio game? So where are you from originally? Because you my homie, but I don't know a lot of your beautiful background. So take me back. Where are you from originally?
Let's go back, man. St. Louis, Missouri. Of course, you know my brother DJ, the good fellas, Power 106. So the question is how we got here. So imagine growing up in the Midwest, kind of getting the best of both worlds. You know, we heard the East Coast music, hear the West Coast music. So coming out of college, after we went there for a couple of years, I went to U of H, shouts out to Houston Cougars, track scholarship, all that. But I called my mom one day and I said, Mom, I don't want to go to school no more. I want to be a star, you know? So, you know, you always have those dreams and aspirations, right? So I said that, went back home, packed my bags, and we were like on the freeway looking, do we want to go east or we want to go west? I'm like, look, we done grew up in the snow. We're going to Cali. And the rest is history, man. So it's kind of like, you know, I came out here and what's so deep because I'm a spiritual dude. So I came out here to visit a couple years before I moved, and a friend of mine, Keith and Andre Williams from Berkeley High School in St. Louis, shouts out to Cedric Entertainment. They all went to school together. They were out here at Westlake Studios in Santa Monica. You familiar with that spot?
Yeah.
So they were there, and I walked in the studio, and you had who sings her In Vogue in one studio, LL Cool J in one studio, Bobby Brown. I was like, this what y'all do every day? And he's like, yeah, so what you want to do with it? Like, this is where you need to be. I had a friend that lived in Huntington Beach, went back to their apartment. I went into the back room, B.Woods, and I started praying because I pray every 3 hours. I read the scripture every day. That's something a lot of people don't know about me. And I was like, show me a sign. I need to move out here. Show me a sign. And I looked out the window. I saw a falling star. And I was like, no, that ain't good enough. I said, that ain't good enough. I said, come on, God. Like, I've been crying and testifying to you, and I need you to show me a sign. That room got so cold in an instant. When I tell you, I found myself in a corner of that room crying like a baby because the spirit, it hit me so bad, B. Like, it hit me so bad where I went back home. I quit my job. I sold my car. I packed up with $500 in my pocket, knowing that when I couldn't pay the car note on the Pathfinder that I traded my car in for, I knew that.
Right.
$500 in my pocket. I came out here and I never looked back.
And so when you touch down to LA, are you overwhelmed by what's going on, and how do you make ends meet? Like, what's that experience like, just being out here in LA and not knowing anybody and just having that 500?
Man, that's a dope question, because when you first get out here, you're excited, right? Oh man, where we gonna go eat? So you want to go to Chin Chin's on Sunset. You think about stuff like that. You think about, I gotta buy a new shirt. I'm in a new city, but then you realize, oh, I'm down to like $150. It's like, wait a minute.
Go quick.
Yeah, it's like I gotta slow up because I'm trying to keep up with what's going on out here, or come in town being that dude. I'm broke, so I'm on La Brea and Sunset. There was an Acapulco's used to be right there, going to their happy hour because, you know, that's when they had the buffet. Buying an iced tea just so I can eat, or going around the corner to that McDonald's to get the 99 cents burger or whatever it was at that time, because that's all I had to eat. So now I turn into that person while I'm out here showing like I'm something, but I'm struggling, but no one knew that. You know what I mean? Fortunately, a few months later, I had a couple of friends come out here and move in, and we all moved in together. But it was still a struggle because I didn't have a steady job. Because to me, it was like, no, I'm gonna get this record deal, right?
Right.
And then after that, I found myself living in Wilmington. Shouts out to the city of Wilmington. I was out there, Summer Wing Apartments, and Big Boy's neighborhood. Of course, he was already on Power 106, but he had a homie on there called Sean Wan.
Okay.
Lived in the same apartment complex. His family members did. I met them, heard I can sing. So now I'm in Carson with Mike Concepcion singing in his studio, in his house, writing records. You know what I'm saying?
That's incredible. Yeah. And so you're singing. And so at this point, do you say to yourself, like, okay, the dream is coming true, or do you have doubts, or where are you at this point?
Well, I'm like a fresh puppy. You know, I'm in this city where it's beautiful everywhere. You know, you got the palm trees, you got the ocean. So I never, even though I went some days where I couldn't eat, you know, as long as I knew I could lay my head on a pillow somewhere, whether it was on the floor, bro, I didn't care. I just knew I was in this city. So the opportunity was here for me if I had to go get it. So, I mean, I struggled with that. And there was times where, you know, I never really got homesick, but I was just like, yo, what are you doing? Right. But then I would just pray on it. I said, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm creating a testimony so I can tell someone else. So when they're ready to make a move or step out on faith, they'll get it. Right. So I'm there working the studio. And while I'm there, Sean Wan like, hey, man, they hiring over Power 106. We're like, Power 106, word? We know about that station. That station's like, it's the station here. And like, yeah, man, they're hiring. I'm like, yeah, but I want to be on a record, man. I'm trying to be in video. What we doing? He said, but they pay $35 an hour. We were like, where did we sign up? You know what I mean?
And so then when he says they're hiring at the station, is he specific? Is this an on-air gig? Is this promotions? What type of job is he? What's he talking about when he says what we hiring? What is hiring?
He said, look, man, he said, you and your boy DJ got this mad energy. They're hiring for weekend DJs to be on the radio. And we were like, all right. So while we're in the studio, we just created a demo for the radio station for Power 106, but we did one for the mornings. Hey, we're live at McDonald's. Come see us, blah, 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 blah. We did one for afternoons, nights, weekends. We gave them every element that they probably could cover because obviously we grew up trying to get records on the radio in St. Louis, so we knew how it worked, right? Mm-hmm. So we sit outside right there on Frederick and Olive. We're in DJ's Jeep. We got the yellow package, and we pray on it, and we send it upstairs to the 8th floor, this same floor I'm on right now. I just finished shooting TV show on, and we hand it in, and then a week later, we get a call saying, we want you guys to come in on the weekend and audition. And we were like, what?
And that's great. So like, even like stylistically, did you kind of pull? Because being a radio DJ is not like everybody has, in order to survive, you got to have your own swag. You got to have your own vibe. Were you a fan of radio at this point? Because I know you were heavy in the music. Were you listening to the Baker Boys? Like, how did you even know, okay, this is what radio stylistically sounds like? And how did you come up with your vibe?
Well, growing up in St. Louis, there was a guy he's legendary. His name is Tony Scott. We would listen to him in the morning and just how he would do it, his funny bitch and things of that nature. But then when we touched down in LA, remember I was here like a year or so before this opportunity even came about. So we would listen to different radio stations. We were told, man, you got to be checking for Power 106. So we heard the Baker Boys and their energy was just like, you couldn't resist it. We were just like, yo, just their timing. Like, oh, we used to consider, oh, that's like some Run DMC right there because they would just bounce off each other. But that's what DJ and I have also been doing since 7th grade, performing. You know what I mean? So we made sure we did something a little bit. We did like where we were in sync, where we were timing each other. We also did something where we kind of laid back because we didn't know what they were looking for. But either side is who we are. Because when the lights go on, you yourself, you know how to turn it on, and you know when to fall back. Yep.
No, definitely. So now it's audition day. You know, you sleeping on the floor, you singing records, and now you got this opportunity at the #1 station out here in LA at the time. Take me through that day. How does that go?
We're a little nervous, but again, you know, when you come from our background, all we know is competition. We were in every competition from 7th grade on, so we thrived off of it as well. So we come up here, Jeff Garcia, he's our guy that's auditioning us. So he's doing it. And where everybody knows Jeff, that dude, you know what I'm saying? The sports dude. So he has us there and we do a couple hours on air. And then we're like, hey man, what do you think? He was like, you guys are pretty cool, man. I like your energy. You know, he didn't put a lot on it, but we found out later when he went back, because I think it was Marie that was a general manager or music director at the time. He handed in, he was like, look, I know we got the Baker Boys. I know we already got a duo, but I wouldn't let these cats get away. There's something special about them. So I got to show him love because he kind of endorsed us based on the audition. But we were thorough with it. You know what I'm saying? We knew our background. We knew the cities. You know what I'm saying? We were shouting out the schools. I mean, we were connecting instead of just coming on here saying, yo, what up, is me? No, man, because you yourself, you know, when it comes to radio, there has to be a special connection with the streets.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so now you guys, and so was he taking care of all the technical things? Did you guys know the board and all that, or were you guys just going off riffs, just vibing?
We were on the side, just kind of doing our thing because looking at that back then looked like, damn, I can't fly this plane.
Yeah, that's the plane. That's one hell of a plane.
Yeah.
And so you guys are there. You feel good about it, and now it's time to take that audition, and you guys get offered a position. What was the time frame between the audition and you guys getting that look?
I think it was about 2.5 weeks. We finally got a call back and they brought us up and they said, hey, we would love to bring you guys in to work part-time. We got our full-timers, and we wasn't even thinking part-time. We're thinking we get to be on the air, probably gonna be able to promote ourselves, maybe do a little singing. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's our frame of mind. So instead of coming in nervous, like, oh, we're talking to several million people every time we open our mouth, we were like, oh, this is a stage. And that's kind of how we embraced it. So that's how we did it, man. And it got to the point, you know, upper management started shifting. You know, we saw Steve Smith, AKA, I call him Sammy Hagar. You know, he came into play and he said, you guys, energy, I love it. I love it. I'm going to put you on 4 times on the weekend. And we were like, what? And that's what happened. So we would work 4 shifts between Saturday and Sunday, right? 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Right. Our last shift would be the overnight 1 to 6. So we got a chance to welcome Big Boys. He came in, which began our friendship, and he started mentoring us. Right off the bat, the Baker Boys embraced us. They would be like, yo, man, why don't y'all come to the club with us? We remember going to the club and they had their matching BMWs at the club, sitting in the car. And like, just come hang with us, man. We want to take y'all around the city. So I will forever be grateful with them for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
who does that?
Right, right. Especially with new talent, and you know what I mean? Because a lot of times in entertainment, there's a real hater energy because people kind of see you as competition. So that's dope that, you know, the Bakers, Big shows you love. Now, at this point, like, take me to the human experience of, like, financially, where you at? Are you worried about the paper, or do you know it's coming, or are they taking care of you? What's going on that and just the human living experience? Well,
from going to have no check to have people back home sending you money, right? Even while we're in studio doing our thing with my Concepcion, even we're in there, like, we're doing what we want to do. So that's giving us life, but we still wasn't financially, like, set. Again, had a couple people that live with us that kind of helped us out, that had our back, right? But to get that 35 an hour, like, even if you work in the weekends, like, that check came in, that was like gold to us. That was like, yo, bro, we can go grocery shopping for real.
Yeah, like, get some wheat bread, you know
what I'm saying? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get some milk.
You gotta get that milk. And so now, you know, you developing a relationship. You mentioned, like, Big Boy took you on and kind of mentored you. What type of things did he give you, and then how did it accelerate to where you're a full-time job?
Well, during that time, it would be like, hey, man, you know, you should come sit in, check out the show. Always welcomes to come in and check it out and how we vibe. It was like a special connection. And I just thank God for that, man. Because I mean, me and Big that's still my guy, right? So we did that, and we would come in, we would vibe, we would go see them do their thing. And then while we're doing that, they're saying, well, hey guys, we have our street team that goes to different high schools a couple times a week. We're saying, do what? On the lunch period, so you can go rock the mic. We were like, say less. Rock the mic in front of the people.
Yeah.
So we started doing that. We would go to like 2 or 3 schools a week, because during the week we didn't have a job. We were still doing music, not knowing we're dropping seeds. We're building a foundation, because each school we went to, because we talking radio back then, they didn't have all these options. They listened to Power. Everybody and their mama did. So that was playing into our favor, but we didn't do it for that. We did it because our passion just to have a mic and be on stage. So all that's happening. Meanwhile, the Baker Boys are going through some contract issues with Power 106. So, you know, they were going through it. So it'll be some days where they just wouldn't show up for work. So DJ and I'll be at Venice Beach on a Tuesday playing basketball. We'll get a call around 1 o'clock. Hey, the Baker Boys aren't coming in today. Can you be here by 3? What? I can be there by 2.
Right,
So we
right.
would come fill in. And when we did that, you know, Tito would still show up because he didn't know they were calling out because, again, there was a little friction there. I'm not trying to put all the business out there, but they'll tell you there was some friction at the time with the station. So, you know, and Tito would be, we're like, well, Tito, you can hang with us if you want. All right, my brother. So now we're building a relationship with Tito. So, you know, because what was Papa doing that time? Tito's top 4-4.
And did the Bakers, did they feel a certain type of way that you're taking an element from their show and putting it on your show? Was there any like friction or fucked up energy because of that?
Not really, because every time when we filled in for them, we always say, yo, we filled in for the Baker Boys. Y'all gotta make sure y'all check them out. We always show that respect and love. We let people know from the get-go, hey, we're the good fella, but this is the Baker Boys show. And you know, Tito and the Baker Boys, they bring you this top 4-4. So we just wanted to give the listeners some normalcy, something they're used to during that time, instead of just a couple new guys hopping on. So and I think that worked out for us as well too in the long run. So by doing that, we built that relationship, and then finally got to the point, we know where the Baker Boys was just like, they were out. They gone. So that's when I think when they left over, went to the beat across the street.
I was at the beat too, and it was just kind of like a weird transition. And so I'm like, okay, there's obviously something happening at Power. The Bakers come there. Now you guys are officially full-time Romeo and DJ, the Goodfellas.
Yeah.
And is it celebration time? Do you get that big contract? Are you popping bottles? What's that like?
I love your setup, because wait till you see what I have to tell you. You set that up so nice. Now watch what really went down. We were told, because at this time when this happened, Jimmy Steele comes in, the program director, right? Val Mackey comes in as GM. So now you have LA Times. I still have the article. I have in a frame saying the Baker Boys have left Power. They went to the beat. You have the Goodfellas. You have Jimmy Steele, who hasn't done hip hop radio. That's what they were saying at the time. And Val Mackey. There's no way this team will succeed. They are done. This is even with Big Boy still here in the morning. But that's what the article said at LA Times. And I get it. I get why they were saying that, because of the foundation the Baker Boys have already had here. So, and I remember the day we came in and Jimmy was like, well, we're still going to be looking. We're still going to be auditioning, taking tapes. It's not your job to keep. We were always told that. And we were like, all right, that's give us another piece of wood to throw in the fire. We'll take that energy if that's what you want to give us. So, excuse me. The first day when the Bakers, so we're already kind of on, because we're filling that spot part-time. Tito, they went to Tito and said, hey, Tito, you want to go with Big Boy? You want to stay with the Goodfellas? He was like, no, you know, Big Boy has his thing, it's polished. You know what? I stay with the Goodfellas. He's like, I'm going to hang with them. And because the thing is, we didn't just have him come for Tito's top 4-4. We're like, if you're going to hang with us, you get to hang the whole show. You know what I'm saying? Because normally he would come to the top 4-4 and he out. But we're like, no, you're going to hang us the whole show, Tito. Like, cool. And Tito would even go to some of the high schools with us, which was dope. So now you had all of us going out there. So the first day we come down the hallway, the Bakers started at 2 o'clock, because the beat was starting their afternoon drive at 2, right? Every radio in every room had the beat on, because they were waiting to see what the Baker Boys were going to say. So imagine you come down the hallway here at Power and you look in every room and it's like, you're hearing like, damn, they listen to the beat. Like, is anybody going to listen to us today? So me and my dude, excuse me, went down the hallway. We said, okay, we see what we're doing. We see what we got to do. Let's just turn up a little bit more. We thrive on the competition. So again, it wasn't about trying to say we're better than someone, because we can never be better than the Baker Boys, because the Baker Boys are who they are. They have their own legacy set. But how do we build ours as the Goodfellas, Romeo and DJ? So from that day, we turned it on, and the rest was history. I mean, we're talking 9 shows.
And so when you say turn it on, what's that specifically? What does turning it on mean for Romeo and DJ, for somebody that didn't hear that Power 106 shift?
I think it was the grind even more so than everything, because one, we were fresh to it. We were new to it. So it's almost like being the basketball court, just shooting around, and all of a sudden you see some competition show up. So you lace your shoes up, because you're ready to play ball. So now you're like, by any means necessary, we're going to make sure our show is tight. That's when I start running the board, because again, it's a show. And you know, even today's radio, it's all about how it moves. So if we have a talk break, we want to make sure you hit that post. And for people to know what a post is, you got to shut up by the time the words start coming in. So, you know what I'm saying? So we made sure that our ship was super, super tight. We made sure that we went to even more schools during the week, because we were dropping seeds for when the ratings came in, because you got to remember, they'd already had it built up. So we were coming into something where if it dropped sustainably, they'll be like, we knew you couldn't do it. So we had to at least try to maintain what they already was bringing to the table, right?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, go ahead.
Go ahead. I cut you off.
Then all of a sudden, promotions were like, well, hey guys, we got Rush Hour coming to the Chinese theater. So we need y'all out there on the red carpet. Have you done it before? We were like, we know we didn't. We were like, yeah, we've done it. Never did it before in our life. So we're talking Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. They're walking down the red carpet for the interview. And the people are like this to see how they handle this one. Next, you know, we got Jackie Chan talking about what is good for, singing over the radio station live in front of the whole crowd with the big bus that said Rush Hour. So now we had knocked that one out the park. So, okay, so they can come on the air. They can go to the high schools. They don't mind being in these streets no matter where they got to be. Now they doing this red carpet thing. So it's kind of like all the struggle we went through in our life growing up to get to this point. It prepared us for this moment. And that's where we at. Yeah.
And stylistically, it was just so dope because you guys really, you know, when you say you turned it on, what I remember just as a fan of just being radio, I was across the street at the beat, but when I did listen to you, you guys integrated a lot of the singing into the breaks. Was that something planned, or was that spontaneous? And how did that kind of help you like kind of brand yourself as the Goodfellas?
Well, I think that kind of helped. It kind of set our lane of what we are, because it showed like, oh, these guys are multi-talented. They can do that. And we would do it purposely every now and then just to let people know, because again, we still out here because we're trying to get this record deal. You know what I'm saying? So we can sing LA, and you know, we know record reps came into the building. So while we're still waiting for that to happen, we didn't always force feed it, but it was definitely part of it. Trust me. Even to the point where dealerships would sign us to do endorsement because we would do a hook for them. You know what I'm saying? Going down to Cerritos, we would take a song and we would just flip it and make it work and make, you know, kind of like what Big Boy does with his car commercials, right?
Right. Right.
A lot of people are doing it now, but that was one of the things that we embrace as well. And from that, a little side note, Jesse Collins.
Yeah.
Right? Jesse Collins, shouts out to him. He had heard all that and he was like, man, you guys are always trying to sing. BET Comic View, they need a song. And then one day we got him the song back. It took us 30 minutes to do it. We were like, how much they paying? A lot of pay good money for it. So in the midst of all this, we ran into the studio, and that's how we came up with this Comic View on BET. So we ended up doing that. So open another door. So I don't even know if you know we did that theme song.
I didn't know that. Know that.
Uh-huh.
And so at this point, are you thinking to yourself like, what's the biggest focus? Is it trying to get the record deal, or is it trying to ride am I using this radio platform as a way to get to other things? Is the focus ever just radio, or is it just like we can do it all?
I think once the numbers start coming in, first of all, once we got in there full time, we fell in love with what we were doing, because we were saying, and I'm going to repeat what an artist said to us, Naughty by Nature, Busta Rhymes, when we interviewed them, they were like, yo, bro, I heard y'all could sing. I know y'all could sing, man, but radio is a steady check. It's like, if you don't sell no records, you don't get no check. Y'all have a stage 5 days a week, 6 days a week. If you work on Saturdays, you're like, you know what, you're right. So that kind of helped us get in that mind frame of like, no, and we fell in love with what we're doing. And now we realize that we can change lives, whether it's giving back to a community, buying our t-shirts through Homeboy Network. I mean, we did that for years. We will always say we're only buying shirts with them. That gave us a chance to hang out with councilmen and women like that, going to the lighting of the 3rd Street Bridge, 1st Street Bridge, things of that nature, because we were so embedded into the city now, where we could go to Wilmington, we can go to Compton, to the Watts Tower, and people would embrace us because they're like, ain't y'all the guys on the radio? Oh, but y'all out here with us? And we fell in love with that because we love being around people.
And that's a dope look. And so now you've been embraced by the city.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are and I want to get to the big contract when you actually start making the money. When does the transition happen to where the people in the building start really rocking with y'all and saying, okay, these are the guys, and we're not worried about the Bakers no more?
The 9 shares and 11 shares, like numbers that off the charts for Afternoon Drive. And like people just, it was a fire that steady built up. And then we had relationships with certain artists, you know, they would be like, well, if I come to, I want to make sure I interview with them cats. So that happened. So after we got in that spot for at least a whole year, because they were looking, and then they finally made it official like 6 months into us auditioning for the part. And then a year later is when we got the nice contract. And then that's when we learned about the whole bonus structure. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the mama I made it moment.
That's the mama I made it moment when you like, okay, hey dog, we ain't gotta live in the same place anymore. You know, get your own spot. I can get my own spot. You know what I mean?
And so when you walk into that room, you know, because a lot of times we get lost in the bigger picture. So walk me through the contract that you walk into the room.
Mm-hmm.
Does he does he slide a piece of paper across the room with a figure? What happens on that
day?
Yeah.
Well, they give you a ballpark, right? And you got to remember
Exactly.
At this time, we didn't have representation. So,
Okay.
you know, we probably could have got more, but based on what we were already getting and what they slid in there, we was like, what? Really? This what we talking about? So to us, that was huge, because now I'm saying you're paying me that much to do this, not knowing that if we probably had someone to represent us, we probably could have got 3 times that amount. So they won that battle. They got over on us. But where we got them is the whole bonus structure, because they always said, well, you know, where's the bonus structure? Okay, how much? And sometimes it would go all the way up to like 30K. And you know, the book came out every 3 months. But right. out of the 3 months, you got to average a 5 share or 6 share, you know, 12 plus 1834. And me and DJ is like, okay. So every 3 months we was taxing them. We was hitting the bonus every 3 months, whether it was the top or the bottom, we always hit it. And that's what made us wake up, continue to go out to those schools, continue to go do community work, everything like that. Because 1, we loved it, but 2, now we know we're going to be able to get something that we should have been getting in the front that back end.
Right. And I know my guy Romeo. I know you. So what was like the first glow up purchase that you got when you got that check? That, because you know, we act different. You could work at Target in LA. You get that $19 to $21, you're gonna be like, okay, let me handle this a certain way. What was your first purchase being on the air full time?
Before I got the deal with Power 106, the real deal, you got to remember we turned in that Comic View song. And based on turning that song on, I still got a car, 2001 CLK 430, and it was hot then. So I had, and now it was such a G that day, because by this time, we had some guy, wasn't our manager, but he was kind of quarterbacking the situation. He was trying to win us over. So he's like, well, I'll make sure your car is picked up and dropped off to you. So we were doing an event with Tyrese. It was the Macy's in North Hollywood. During the event, all of a sudden this truck rolls up with this CLK 430 brand new, already sitting on 19s, and drops it off to me around 1:30, because I got to drive it to work to be at my shift by 3. So to me, that was a surreal moment, because I'm like, that's my shit. Like, that's mine. Like, really? I ain't never owned a car like that, right? So that took care of that. But the purchase, when that really came in, was to finally try to put a down payment on a house, because never had a house. We grew up in a house with my grandmother for over 60 years. We just recently sold. But after that, my mom and us, we always lived in an apartment. We never had a home. You know what I'm saying? Me and my sister were able to go to college. A lot of people in our family never even went to college. So for me to be like, all right, I got my raffle ticket in this hat to try and get this property. So now I'm thinking, about to have a home. I can fly my mom out here and the family to come hang out. So to me, it was like, what can I do for my family more so than what I can do for myself?
Right. And then, and when you got that first house, what area was it in? Was it close to the station? What? Kind of.
It was funny. DJ was riding his motorcycle and he drove out towards Stevenson Ranch, out that way towards Six Flags. He was just riding and he saw some dirt. And he's like, let me go over here. And he came back and said, yo, bro, some homes coming up out here. It's only like 25 miles from the station up that way. So we were living in Burbank. We were living downtown Burbank. I had an apartment. He had his apartment. And at that point, we put our names in the hat and we ended up going to Stevenson Ranch. And that's where we ended up, right after 5 and McBean Parkway. So now that we out there, we by the mountains, your family get to come visit you. So now you just feel like you walk around like, man, we made it. We're doing it. It's a different look. Yeah.
It's a different look. And now, not only is your reality change, your finances change. Take me through some of the memorable moments that you had at Power, the historic moments that the Goodfellas, you know, because you interviewed everybody from Kanye to Snoop, and like, tell me about those relationships.
Man, one of the first interviews we had was with Run DMC and Jam Master Jay. It was on the weekend because they had a show that day. So we would actually get interviews on the weekend. And remember, we were still part-time when they came in. So we made it do what it do. And I'll never forget them walking in, and DJ and I was kind of like taken back, like, oh, like we look up to these guys. Like, we play their records. We wanted to beat them while performing. Now we're about to sit down and interview them on our show. Then let's talk about Big Pun. Big Pun, I remember him, man, rest in heaven. he was coming from the elevator, but he was so exhausted. You know, the hallway here at the station, before he got down to in the hallway, he had to lean on the wall and take a break a couple of times because he had trouble breathing. And we had a conversation about this, like, man, I got to do better with my health. Had him on the weekend. So those are a couple of one of the first interviews we had. The whole Juvenile, Lil Wayne, when Lil Wayne was like, what, 14 to 15, sitting in the corner, not even the dude, right? You had Juvie in there with High. We had all of them in studio. So you think about some of those moments. I think about Puffy in Paradise. Now imagine being on a radio station coming from nothing, and now your radio station doing a promotion where they're flying people to Hawaii to see a concert. You know what I'm saying? The Chronic 2001, they did it in Hawaii. So now DJ and I, and shouts out to DeMizza, Damon Young, and E-Man, everybody, we're riding on scooters in Hawaii going to a Black Diamond, and I got Crazy Bone on one next to me. I got Corrupt and Dash, and I'm looking around like, how did I get here? Like, what did I do to deserve to be amongst these guys' presence? But then I had to realize that they appreciated us just the same, because yeah, they came to us because we were doing interviews. We helped push their record, but they seen who we are. And most of all, DJ Quick, the first dude to embrace us. When he first met us on air, where y'all from, man? Oh, St. Louis, man. St. Louis. Keep my pocket fat. Shouts out to Gus to sell me the jewelry, the clothes. I go to St. Louis. Matter of fact, y'all come to my house. Come to my house. We're gonna go play basketball. He barbecued. We're still doing weekends, wasn't full time. Barbecued. We play basketball. James the Barge is there. We all beating each other up on the basketball court, thinking we something special, thinking we Kobe and Shaq. That's one of the most memorable moments. That's why Quick, like one of my favorite dudes of all times out here because of what he did.
Yeah, shout out to Quick. And the thing is so interesting about Quick is like he's so impactful, not just musically, but like most people don't realize how impactful he's been to LA radio, not with you, but just with Theo out here in LA.
Oh
like,
man, those drops back then.
Yeah, those drops were incredible. So shout out to Quick. Like he set the tone and the sound of LA.
Yeah.
And shout out to Quick. So now you vibing, you at Power, and then something happens. What happens at Power to where? And how many years are you at Power before you leave Power, and how and why do you leave Power?
So we started around 2000. We just got a contract, renewed it. So it's 2006, and we just got this article out of all the radio stations in the country. We were number 5 afternoon drive based on our cuming, and cuming is obviously, you know, people that are listening. So we just got this, and we were going in for our option, 2-year in our option, whatever it was, right? So we walk in, it's 2:30. We started 3. We got our headphones. We just signed a new endorsement with a phone company. I don't know if it was T-Mobile, AT&T, one of them. And we sit down in a chair and we see Jimmy and Val, and they're not smiling. They're just kind of sitting there like this. And we're like, all right, what's up? And then, you know, Val, you know, we keep it 100. She starts tearing up, Val Mackey. And we're like, okay, what's going on? And then Jimmy would say, hey guys, we're going a different direction. And that's how quiet it got. We're like, well, what do you mean? What you want us to do? You know what I'm saying? Different direction. We flipping the music. What? He said, no, we're going to move on from you guys. And we were like, what? Because now you got to think about it. Whatever they asked us to do, we did. Yeah, we got paid to do our job, but we went far and above that, because now you got me going to these schools for free. I'm hearing other people were getting paid to go to the school. It didn't matter because we love doing it. Red carpet, what you need? Oh, you need me to do a spec spot? You need me to do a fake commercial so you can try and sell this client? Everything. And then all of a sudden we get in the elevator and DJ and I like, big boy funny. He about to punk us. When we get down to our cars, got you. You know what I'm saying? I think Punk was out there. We get off the elevator. Shit. All right. Oh, all right. We can get in our car. Oh, when we exit the building, they gonna be like, oh, we got you. Because Big Boy has done things before where he had me come sit in his car and he took me all the way to his house and said, how you gonna get back to work? Like, he's done that. So now we're driving home and we get home and we're like, all right, the phone's gonna ring. Silence of the lamb, my man. And we're like, what the? And then the reality hits you, right? Because now you built up all this, you've given everything. You know what I'm saying? The city loves you. It's not a question of the numbers never drop. So it wasn't a question of that. So you're like, what's really going on? So now your mind starts going, did someone want this to happen because we were getting too big? Did the music shift so much where they felt like they didn't need us? Did we do something wrong? No, we didn't do anything wrong because we've never burned bridges. That's not how I work. So now the reality sinks in that we don't have a job. At this time, we do have a manager, so we're kind of calling him freaking out. We know what our pay was here. But we get a call from KDAY that hears about us, and within 48 hours, they're like, well, y'all want to come on over here? All right, what y'all talking about? This is what we're talking about. Only like 25% of what we normally made. So imagine you knowing what you built up, but now you're torn with, okay, do I walk away and say, no, I know my worth? Or do I say, no, I need to still stay relevant and do my thing and do what I love and take this little pay until something works out? So we're stuck on that decision. But we love what we do. We feel we owe something to the city, like we can't stop giving. So we took that gig. Right?
So the time frame from you leaving Power to getting to KDAY, the offer was 48 hours and KDAY made you an offer?
Yeah, they called us up and said, yo, yeah, it was Roy. Called us up and said, hey, man, I heard what happened across the street. It's kind of messed up. If you know Roy, you know that's how he sounds.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to do? Well, we know we want to do. Well, what's it going to take to get you here? Boom. He said, well, I can't do that. But if you want to come, I can do this. So now we're stuck with like, okay, we're about to do the Brian McKnight and go back at one here when it comes to this pay. But what do we want to do? So we felt the need to do that. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm not mad, because you know why? We were always a fan of Julio G's. He was there, you know what I'm saying? So now we're meeting, we already knew you know what I'm saying? So now we're meeting other people in the radio business that we get to learn from, we get to connect with. So we took what they gave us just so we can stay on the air.
Right. And so now you're at KDAY. You still have the wave of power. What was your experience at KDAY? What was that like?
Well, it was a different machine at the time, and ironically, KDAY ended up buying Power, so we're all in one building now. That's the craziest story. I went full circle. Back in the building, I got fired in. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. We got to get to that part too.
Yeah, we definitely will. But yeah, so it was ran different. We were used to things being a certain way, and then you had the Power 106, which signal is huge, and then you had the KDAY signal, which was not as big. So you may have 12 phone lines lighting up at Power where there's only 4 on the board there at KDAY. You know what I'm saying? The other was on blank, but that's just all that's available there because it's just a different magnitude. So, but we pushed through that, you know, and from that, you know, that's when the Soul Train Awards were still popping. So we still did our interviews. Artists still knew us. You know, we missed the perks of being at Power, you know, the major big concerts, but we made it do what it do. We did our thing. We created a night show. We thought they were going to put us on in the afternoons, you know, since that's what we were. So the listeners would be like, okay, I'm used to listening to the Goodfellas. Where can I find them? But we got put on at night. So we thought that was a mistake on their part, not putting us right in the afternoons where we once were, right? And mind you, who were we mentoring? Because it's all about paying it forward. Baker Bars were mentoring us and they walked away, right? Mm-hmm. DJ and I were mentoring, of course, Siphon Deluxe, who took our spot at Power. They would literally call us and be like, bro, what kind of contract should we get? Now, should we even picked up the phone? Oh, absolutely, because it's business. We learned this is business. It wasn't their doing. Right. The photo party, they were already popping. So they were getting their wings to fly. It was just unfortunate that it happened that way, but we picked up the phone whenever they called. They even called sometimes like, man, how y'all put up with Tito? because they just didn't bond together because they had their own thing and everything wasn't meant for that. And I get it. You know, Tito was a different era. So, and eventually Tito ended up leaving that show. Yeah. But they would call us and talk to us about it while we're across the street on the radio. And some people be like, well, why y'all pick up the phone like they're in y'all spot? Dude, it ain't their fault.
Right.
Those are good people.
And it's the politics of the business.
That's it.
And so now you're at KDAY. It's a different situation. The energy is a little bit different. Great people. The finances are slightly different. Now, what happened at KDAY to where it kind of fell apart?
What fell apart, they kept changing ownership, so they ran out of money. So at this point, we were being asked, hey, man, we're waiting for new ownership to come in. So if you kind of want to work, you ain't going to make no money. Like you said, you know, I'm just being honest. Or, you know, you can step away because pretty much all the jobs were walking away because the money just wasn't there anymore. Right. And, you know, we're thinking about this legendary station. We knew about KDAY from back in the day when it's AM. So we knew the history of the station. That's why we embraced it as well. So we talk about 2010, maybe close to 2011, right around that time, everything goes dark. We got to walk away and we out the game, but we're knowing the work we put in that somebody going to open the door for us. So I'm just going to keep knocking.
And so let's take it there. So now, you know, the money's not there at KDAY. So financially, you just bought a house, you got, you know, motorcycles, you know, you live in that LA.
3 cars. Yeah.
3 cars. So walk me through that. So what's mind right now?
Well, I'll walk you through it because what goes up must come down. Like when I say that, I was at a point in my life where I was on a high horse, and I wasn't conceited. It wasn't any of that. But you're living your best life. You got the car, the recession here. We know that 2008, 2009. You know what I'm saying? So now you find yourself in your 401k plan trying to dig that because you're trying to save the house, but it's your first house. So you don't know how to flip it. You don't know how maybe you shouldn't have got that refi not too long ago, right? Even when I did a refi one time, I ain't afraid to say it because somebody gonna learn from it. It was a dude I was doing business with. He would book me to do certain events. He refied my house, but in small print, he took $25,000 out of it.
Yeah.
Didn't even know he was doing that because I trusted him, right? I'm like, all right, what I'm getting back, I'm getting this. What's my interest rate gonna be? Okay, my note ain't that much higher. All right, I'm in, not knowing that, boop, he taxed me for that. You know what I'm saying? See a sucker bump his head. I got, but it's a lesson learned. So at that point, I lose the house. You know what I mean? So now I'm out of the house. I'm trying to find my way. I'm back in Burbank in an apartment. Money's running low. You don't want to go back home. So now I find myself going back and forth because in 2010-ish, a friend of mine in St. Louis wanted to start this band called Dirty Mugs, is now doing stuff in Vegas and all that. So I would go back there to help him get this thing started, which kind of gave me comfort because nobody would pick up the phone. Well, nobody checking for us. And we're like, after all the work we've done, we haven't burned no bridges. Jimmy will be he will speak on our behalf, but we say it ain't letting us in because they don't want us to take their spot, or I don't know. But at this point, we felt betrayed by the industry because we're talking 3 or 4 years where we were not in the game at all.
And at this point, can you call celebrity friends and your 3 years? Do you take like a regular gig? Are you taking like regular jobs to pay the bills?
Oh yeah, I'm taking a regular job. I'm taking
the jobs, that the regular shit.
Well, I work out all the time. So we're talking from LA Fitness to what's the other one, the big one, 24-hour fitness. I was literally working there, like getting certified as a trainer because I love to work out. And imagine doing that from people walking in, all of a sudden you working somebody and they're like, "What, you on the radio?"
Yeah.
Power 106. Yeah, that's me. But you got to suck it up. You know what I'm saying? I had bills to pay, but this is prior to 2013, where now my son comes into my life. And that's when it really gets crazy. So I'm trying to do the job and saying, man, miss you on the radio. All right. So every now and then I would have DJ gigs because I was still DJing on the side, but I wasn't doing like Hollywood clubs. You know what I'm saying? I'll be up in Santa Clarita doing a spot called Drifters, a cool little bar. But I needed that to give me life. So I don't care if it was 50 people in there. So imagine going from the Honda Cinder or the Forum where it's thousands of people you're on stage in front of to maybe 50 people in the bar. What that do to your ego, right? It to me, it builds character and it makes you even stronger. So again, I was like, okay, I went back to where I first started. I'm gonna bounce back. And that's all I kept telling myself, but it wasn't happening.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing because a lot of folks in radio is just once they leave, they don't come back. And you're one of the few people that were able to come back. So now you working. I even heard, were you at In-N-Out? Did you work at In-N-Out at some point? Or
I didn't work at In-N-Out. I would have. That's my mama's favorite spot. I did that just to get her burgers.
Yeah, so guys, things were like that were floating on the street.
Oh yeah.
It was a lot of that. We see Romeo and this was going on. So now it's 3 years. And what is the get back? How do you get back in the game?
So now we're at 2015. All right. I'm a stay-at-home dad. You know what I'm saying? My son was born in 2013. You know what I'm saying? Wifey was putting in the work, the breadwinner. I was home with my son every day, which probably explains, which I wouldn't have changed a thing. Now I look back at it. He and our bond is amazing. Love you, Malachi. So every day it was a routine. Get up, put him in the stroller, take him to the park. You know what I'm saying? Contemplate, what am I going to do? How am I going to take care of my son? There's dark days. Some of the gigs are falling off that I was doing. But I keep getting a call to go back to St. Louis. My boy, hey, man, you just come here and make some money. But I didn't want to leave my son, right? And this is something that's hard to talk about. So I'm trying to get emotional because in 2015, I came to a point where I did the same prayer I did in 2000. So I find myself on my knees. I'm praying like, okay, God, all right, you done broke me down for whatever reason. You probably took all those things away from me to save my life so I can be a better person. Maybe that's what you did. Because, yeah, I was a good person when it comes to people, but I was wilding out during my time in power. I ain't gonna lie, I was wilding out. So that's part of life. It comes with the territory.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm arguing, I'm fighting with God, and finally it's just like, you gotta go. I'm like, huh? And you got mind me, the Benz that I had, it's sitting in the garage. I don't drive it that much because I don't have to drive. I'm not working this dirty. You know what I'm saying? I need to fix up a couple things on it because I ain't been able to keep up with that. And I'm like, huh, I gotta go. And it finally came to the point, man, where I had to tell my girl, so I'm going to St. Louis. She's like, you can't leave. Like, who's gonna watch Malachi? I'm working. I was like, you gotta go. And it was very ugly the way it happened. I won't go to detail, but it was a day where my car was already packed. I ran out the front door and I ran to the airport. And by the time I'm at the airport, the guy that was my manager during the time we were doing great was still trying to look out for me. He had my car on a rack on an 18-wheeler already to drive to St. Louis. And I found myself back in St. Louis with a band, a cover band. Something as simple as that gave me life. Now, while I'm back there doing this, right? Because he already has another singer there. So I'm dealing with that. The singer, like, who is this dude? Why is he back here? I'm back home with my family. So now I'm grinding. I'm on stage. I'm letting it all out. Something got to happen. Between sets on stage, there's a guy there. He was a hot top salesman for Radio 1 radio station there. Okay. 95.5. They also have 101.4, 104.1. So he's like, hey, man, I hear you on the mic between the set. I know you one of the lead singers, but you sure know how to rock this crowd. You ever done radio? And I looked at him. I said, nope. No kidding. I didn't want to give him the pass because I didn't want the questions. Nope.
Right.
Man,
right.
You should do radio. I'm going to turn you on, blah, 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 blah. So I go to Radio 1 in St. Louis while I'm home. Now, mind you, I'm crying every day. I had anxiety attack. My boy had to pull over to a ambulance, right? I was like, bro, I can't breathe because I was 3 days in being in St. Louis. I'm having anxiety attack, be away from my family, my son. I'm freaking out. Thought I was having a heart attack. They literally put me on the stretcher on the street. And they're like, get your ass out of here, man. You got the health of an 18-year-old. You have an anxiety attack. You need to get some Xanax or something. But I thought I was dying because I was missing that, right? Yeah. So I'm like, so anyway, I finally go to this. I go up to Radio 1. And they're like, yeah, we'll hire you on the weekends. I'm like, okay. So now I'm on Radio 1. A few months go by. Now iHeart hears me on Radio 1. They want to meet with me and they want to offer me a show at 100.3. That was the station in St. Louis. All right, we'll put you on in other markets. We're going to put you on here, give you your own afternoon show by yourself. Here's what we're going to offer you. I was like, for St. Louis, that ain't bad money. Almost was convincing my girl and the son to come to St. Louis, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I had to call AD, Adrian Scott, my dude, my savior. And I said, bro, I need you to give a reference. They're going to call you. I need you to say that, you know, what I did at KDAY. Because I didn't tell the salesperson I worked in radio, but once I got in the door, I had to let him know I worked in the past. He said, all right, and he hung the phone up. 2 days later, he called back. He said, dude, your family, I heard you can't be in St. Louis. I went and talked to Morello Media, the family here, the people that own KDAY, because it was actually going to be between you and the Baker boys who was going to get the mornings in KDAY. He said, I didn't want to tell you, but because they wanted to wait a couple more months, but I can't let you take that job at iHeart. You got to come back to LA. AD did that. I still text him times how right now, I love you, bro. And like, I'm getting goosebumps. So at this point, I called iHeart. I'm out. I'm like, are you serious? She's like, they need you to fly out here right now. I barely got money. I flew out. I sat down, talked to Otto, my man, sat with him at a restaurant on Wilshire. Me, him, and DJ. He knew our history. You know what I'm saying? Alex Morelli, he knows the history of it. He grew up listening to us on Power. So he's like, all right, we want you guys. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Pack my bags. I was there in 10 months. In 10 months, I went from thought I lost everything, thought I was gonna lose my life, back singing with a band to get back on radio. Now I'm back in LA. And here we go. And next year I'll come back. Yeah.
And now you're back. And so you're back on there, you're doing mornings. And then at a certain point too, it's just like your queen, she obviously she feels better. Your son, everything's working out. And now DJ's not in the picture as far as, and so what happened with that?
He's there when we first come back on air together. He's there. But you got to remember that they're starting on a budget and they really want the numbers to move kind of quick because, you know, at the end of the day, it's about numbers. It's a radio game. So we were about 9 months, 10 months in and they came in and they were like, hey, you know what? We can't really keep both y'all right now. You know what I'm saying? But we see who runs the ship. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I'm the one that always worked the board. I like the hands-on. I'm always involved. Right. And I recall this because when we got let go from Power months later, it was told to me like, well, Romeo, they offered you to stay. They were going to let you stay with Tito, but you said no because you're a boy. I said, well, I never had that conversation. But if you'd have asked me then, I would have told you no because of my boy. But this time around, because of my boy, as in my son, as much as I didn't want to have that separation because DJ and I always did it together, I was like, no, man, I got a family to feed. So I wasn't forced to that. It was a decision where a point in my life. And I had a conversation with DJ about it. And he's like, bro, you got to do what you got to do, man. You'll keep our name out there. Like, I'll be fine. You got to do it for the family. So again, I was at that crossroad, right? Except for this time, it wasn't for my homie boy. It was for my little boy and my family. And that's why I said, no, I got it. And I took that on, and the rest is history. Here we are, what, 2022?
2022, man. And
everything going on.
And everything going on. And that's a blessing. That's a testimony, bro. And it just goes to show that perseverance and just knowing, like, tapping into your gift is what's going to give you another opportunity. Because there's so many times when we get into these spaces and we feel like we lose everything, and we do have those anxieties, and we have these different things that happen to us, especially in the business, because as men, our ego gets in the way. And sometimes you have to get to that place of silence and just being like, okay, because something's going to come through and pursue your passion. And here we are, man. Here we are. And congratulations and to all the success. So now we back in the game. What are you working on right now? What's happening with you? Tell me everything.
We're back in the game during the pandemic. It's weird to say this word, but was blessed to pick up another gig. So now within the same building, you have Fox Soul Black Report, which is on all the apps. You know what I'm saying? You can see it on Apple TV, Roku, all that. Also on KCOP Channel 13, Monday through Friday, 4:00. It's a news show, right? And it basically called Fox Soul Black Report. We bring some of the news that other stations may not always bring to you. And that's what it's about. And we say, even though we say Fox Soul Black Report, it's about people of color. That's what it is. It's a foundation of sharing stories of people of color. So now I get opportunity because we know radio is different. You know that, B. You know radio is different now. It's not what it was. So what other avenues do you have to bring to the table? And now I feel like God's saying, well, I'm setting you up. You're going to continue to do radio, but now I'm going to bring that visual. I'm going to put you on TV. So now here I find myself talking about George Floyd, things of that nature, like what people will call hard stories to deliver. So that's another thing I had to get over. You look at some of my early footages of that show, man, you'll be like, what is this dude doing on this show, right?
Yeah, because you my guy, you my nigga. Like, so it's like seeing you do hard news. I was in the hospital one day. Long story, I had a heart attack, and I'm just flipping the channels. I'm like, what? This brother's over here doing hard news. I'm like, what is going on? I thought I was dying. I said heaven is different.
This gonna be heaven.
Doing hard news. I mean, I remember I was wilding out, so the medication must be working. I must be in heaven. Then I realized I was straight. So shout out to you doing your thing. And what's next? Where do we see Romeo in the next? This is a very employment question. In the next 5 years, where do you see yourself at?
Oh man, like I really feel like sky's the limit. I feel like God took me back so I can reset, so I can come back and be a better person. You know what I'm saying? And for I can really focus in and stay dialed on what I'm doing. That's why my craft, I'm always in on it 100%. I'm one of the first ones in the building in the morning for the morning show. And then I'll sit here, I'll do my research, and I'm gonna give you that energy when it comes to the news show. Now moving forward from that, I got some stuff coming up when it comes to sports. Can't really name it right now. I know some people, oh, you won't name it. I don't have to name it. God had already claimed it for me. So I'm telling you, I got some stuff coming up dealing with sports. When you think about the Art LeBeau concerts, like the one that's come up October the 8th, I'll be hosting that at Glen Helen Amphitheater. And this is one of the most amazing moments of my career, was building a relationship with Art LeBeau. Over 70 years in radio, 97 years old. It started back about 4 years ago at the Honda Center when I first met him. I went out on stage with him. He's like, man, I love that Romeo. So every concert, is Romeo going to be here? It'd be some, hey, Romeo, I'm going to sit this one out, man. Go out there and introduce him for me. I'm tired. I mean, he's 90-something, right? But we built that bond, man, and to still be a part of that legacy, and now to add on to that, and you know what Art LeBeau means to this city.
Yeah, to LA,
yeah. So I mean, and doing that. So the Art LeBeau concerts, I'm hosting those moving forward, and it's just a lot going on, man. It's just such a blessing. And now, to me, I'm preparing myself to at some point fall back and let my son take the wheel, because he has all the talents in the world. That's my blessing right there, man.
Yeah, so really transitioning him into
Yes.
radio, your son.
Well, I mean, right now he can do it all, but it's to the point like he could start freestyling. He's 9, bro. He can start freestyling right now in a minute. He'll start singing. He don't care. He's performing with my band that I have out here called Master Pill DJ, and I have a band. So me and DJ, people ask all the time, you and DJ still cool? Man, that's my brother. We talk every day. We got a band together. Yeah. Man. So,
so super dope, man. So man, you doing your thing, definitely an inspiration. And you still making it happen. And I just have to definitely give you your flowers.
Thank you, God. Thank you, man. Hey, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you too, because I've just seen your journey and the bounce back is just incredible. And the struggles and everything to make it to where you're at right now and moving forward is definitely inspirational. And you're a legend out here in these streets, and you've done so much for the city. So definitely double salute to my guy.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, bro. We gotta link up soon, though. We definitely gotta link up soon, bro.
Yeah, we definitely got. I got so many things I gotta talk to you about. So yeah, we definitely gotta do the thing.
And you know, whatever you need, I got you, man, because you've always had my back. You've always known that. So
my brother, Big Romeo, B.Woods on the mic podcast. Hey.